Hello, I am a Screaming Wyvern, and this is XCrawl, the absolute basics. Let's start off with the most basic rule of XCrawl Classics, which is, of course, Rule 1. Every role-playing game has Rule 1, which is what happens when your character wants to take an action, and they could succeed or they could fail. Rule 1, the action die system that's very similar to the D20 rules from Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to go ahead and say 3rd edition because that's kind of the birthplace of XCrawl. I was surprised, but XCrawl has been around for years. It was originally a 3.0 supplement. It actually was a Pathfinder 1st edition, and it's only recently that it got recreated for Goodman Games' own personal Dungeon Crawl Classics. There's me going with pointless trivia, which will continue. Please enjoy. Usually, the action die will be a 20-sided die, although there is a complicated dice chain. When you roll the action die, you will add or subtract modifiers, which come from a variety of sources, such as your character's ability scores. You want this number to be equal to a number decided by your game master or better, and that number decided by your game master is often called a difficulty class, armor class, in the case of combat. If the number on the die is a 1, a natural 1, that automatically counts as a failure, or in combat, a fumble. That's right. On the list of why you may love or you may hate XCrawl, we have a fumble table. The ever popular, you somehow managed to wound yourself 1 down here on 14. If the number on the die is a 20, usually called a natural 20, that will usually be an automatic success. Often, well, in combat, a critical success. Sometimes your action die will have more than 20 sides, in which case the guaranteed success will happen when you roll the highest number available. In XCrawl, you have absolutely ridiculous critical hit tables. Let me go ahead and... crit table 1. You are fighting something in XCrawl Classics. You roll a 20. That is an automatic crit. Good for you. The crit table goes from 0 or less to 20 or more. There's modifiers on this based on how lucky you are, how skilled you are as a fighter, all that kind of stuff. So critical hits, very much a important part of the Goodman Games environment. I feel like there's a different word I'm trying to think of. That brings us to the important question of who are these characters? What are they like and how are they made? I have a set of 4 characters here. They are very humble people. We have a miner, we have a gardener, we have a postal worker, and we have a factory worker. Why are these the characters I'm using? Where's the cunning rogue, the mighty fighter, the powerful wizard? Well, in XCrawl, your characters aren't heroes. The oracles have not seen a great destiny for them. They're just commoners living in a dystopian version of America. To reflect the everyman nature of the characters, XCrawl invites you to create completely random characters and play what you get. This leads to what Goodman Games calls the character creation funnel. You take a handful of characters and let them fight through a dungeon with no heroic abilities or special skills. Whoever makes it to the other side will hopefully have gained enough experience to reach first level and train in the class of your choice. I've got these 4 characters. Actually, they have some friends. So yes, we have a body mod artist, a bartender, a beautician, and a teacher. We have, as mentioned, the miner, the postal worker, the factory worker, and the gardener. And we have another teacher, that's 2 teachers today, a college resident advisor, a caregiver, and a farmer dairy. These characters are brought to you by purplesorcerer.com. There's 12 of them now. In a normal character creation funnel, your group of 4 to 6 players would each have 3 or 4 characters to run at once, so 15 characters is the norm for a funnel. Where are we? I forgot. I'm actually done with all the explanations. Let's get this literal party started. Our 12 crawlers, crawler hopefuls, sit in a green room watching the crowds of excited, bloodthirsty fans through magical technology video screens. The excited, bloodthirsty fans are currently watching the crawler hopefuls sit in a green room where the crawler hopefuls are... No, wait, I'm going to stop that there. Finally, there is a knock on the double doors to the outside, and a producer enters, flanked by 2 thugs, in case anyone abruptly decides to change their minds. Crawlers! Crawlers! You're about to hit the big time! He greets the group with a huge smile. Now, we got applications from all of you, but for the audience, let's hear why you're here. So let's go ahead and start with guy number 1, our dwarven friend. This is a great time for me to go ahead and quickly run through the character sheet. We're dealing with the standard D20 style, the standard Dungeons & Dragons style. We're talking old school Dungeons & Dragons, where you were expected to roll 3d6, put it in the first column, roll 3d6, put it in the second column, and go on down there. It's not for everyone, but it does make for a challenge because you have to play around their limitations. For a dwarf, not as many limitations as you might think. So 9 to 12 are the average scores. As you increase your score, you get to take bonuses on your action rolls, and the lower your score, you start to take penalties. In this case, we have a strength of 13 and an agility of 13. Both of those will be very useful in combat. Stamina of 9 would affect hit points. Personality, not perception if you're used to another game, which I definitely have played in the past. Personality, which combines your charisma, as far as how likable and how strong your personality is. Here, let me go ahead and use the word to define the word. But it also takes the willpower that you usually get from wisdom in OSR games. As is probably pretty popular for dwarves in these kind of fictions, not necessarily the greatest personality, a little bit too gruff, and that probably means that they're not used to actually winning arguments, so they don't have the willpower that they need. Intelligence and luck. Luck is the one that I was talking about before. You may have thought I was talking about it figuratively, but no. I meant completely literally, you have a luck score. If you have a high luck and get bonuses to it, then it improves your critical and fumbles. Also, everyone has a lucky sign. For our dwarf miner here, their lucky sign is Forged of Vulcan, which means that they get a bonus to attack for their chosen level 0 weapon, which is, they've got a hand axe. That sounds wonderful. That sounds absolutely great. They have no bonus to luck, so they don't get any bonuses to their attack and damage because Vulcan is being a little bitch here. Reflex, fortitude, willpower saves. This is really where the 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons shows up. Reflex being if they can get out of the way of something dangerous, if they can keep themselves stable when something's rolling out from under their feet. Fortitude is how healthy they are. If they were to ingest poison, will they be able to survive? And willpower as mentioned, is the absolute basics is, can you win an argument? The more practical application is, can you win an argument with the forces of magic itself? A surprisingly major problem in the XCrawl universe, where magic is, to be kind, malicious. It doesn't feel like working the same way all the time. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. Speed, not really a huge thing the way I'm going to be playing it, but it's good to be able to do a basic comparison. D4 for the hit points, so they can take up to 4 points of damage. So, our producer here was asking, why do you want to join the Adventurers Guild? And the dwarf says, gold. Anything else? Nah. Not a lot of personality, but they know what they want is really what we're going for here. Well, how about the bartender? You used to be a bartender, and now you're trying to become an adventurer. What is in it for you? And the bartender says, well, after a while of getting drinks thrown on me and having to suck it up and be nice to everyone, I figured it would be nice to be able to take a bottle of someone else's face. So that is why I'm here, to maybe track down some of the people who don't understand how to treat front staff and show them a good time. What about you? You're a teacher. You apparently were teaching science in high school. I was, before the Department of Education decided that they were going to follow the new rules as far as what can and can't be taught. So, frankly, it comes down to, I'm here because fuck, and that's a good time for us to go ahead and open the doors to our first encounter. Over to you, DJ! With the interviews done, music plays and the crowd starts chanting, XCrawl! 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 And on the audio-visual screen, this magical technology device, which can fade in and out, but also allows for recording, combination camera, and television screen. The smiling face of a normal-looking older man, his hair closely cropped, and a brightly colored patterned shirt open to reveal it. I know this guy! A little weird. Citizens of the Empire! He holds for a moment as the crowd cheers for the Empire. By the grace of Emperor Ronald the First! Another raucous cheer from the crowd. I am your host, Dungeon Judge, Screaming Wyvern! He waits for a moment, but there's absolute silence except for a few people whispering, who? Believing that XCrawl is for everyone, the Adventurer Guild occasionally invites citizens of the North American Empire to offer themselves to the gods of Olympus in the hopes of winning both membership to the guild and an all-expense-paid trip to the training facility of their choice. This brings another raucous cheer. He goes through the rules of the crawl. There are people who are wearing badges which show that they are non-combatants, and if you try to attack them for any reason, they will be teleported away, and it may be an assault charge, and you will definitely be kicked out of the game. There are also exits in most parts of the dungeon where the monsters and other encounters go in and out. These are called no-go doors, and if at any time a character wants to give up, they can go out a no-go door. Anyone who does so in these kind of situations, of course, will never be invited to join the Adventurers Guild, and that's their only chance lost to them. So, and probably some other similar information. Oh, right. Because this is a dungeon, because you may be running against intelligent people and intelligent animals and intelligent whatevers, they may surrender. You are required to accept their surrender. If, for any reason, they choose to then revoke their surrender and attack afterwards, you are obligated to kick their asses. Works both ways. Finally, he gives a nod and announces, "Crawlers, from this moment forward, your lives are forfeit in the service of the Empire. Good luck, and may Apollo grant you courage." The door to the dungeon opens, revealing a long, gloomy hallway. Sputtering torches barely make a dent in the darkness. Carefully, the characters who have flashlights, which seems to be most of them, light them. We have one person who doesn't have some kind of light source, so he's going to be okay. They start heading forwards, trying to figure out why this hallway just goes down 100 feet or so, and there doesn't seem to be anything in it, when one of the characters, a body mod artist, suddenly feels the floor going out from under her feet. She rolls a 6. She has a reflex score of +1, so her final number is a 7, which is not good enough. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and say that she's going to take 2d4 points of damage, which is 6 points of damage. The floor goes out under her, and there is a joke to be made about a body mod artist having piercings all over them. But I'm not going to make that because that would be bad. So unfortunately, we have our first casualty of the night. Put that on the notes. Warn her. I don't know why I decided it was a her. I know the bartender is a her. Maybe I'm just going to go ahead and have this page. The body artist, the bartender, the beautician, and the teacher are all women. The miner, postal worker, factory worker, and gardener are all male. And the science teacher, the college resident advisor, the dairy farmer, and the caregiver are all non-binary. We have set up a pronoun system for future reference. The remaining 11 people take a step back, take stock of the situation, and are like, "So, traps, huh?" And they start checking around to see who is the most likely to be able to figure things out. The science teacher is carrying chalk. They have 5 pieces of chalk. So they're going to be an extremely useful person to be checking things out. So let's go ahead and let them roll their action die. They have a 15 intelligence, which is perfect for a science teacher. So they got a +1 to this roll, and it is 15-16. Absolutely able to track down a trap and mark off exactly the outline that it needs to. So that is 2 traps that have been discovered. They continue on down the hallway. We also have a highly intelligent beautician with her intelligence of 13. She is also lucky. Her luck is stamina-based skill checks because she has been toasted by Bacchus. Same thing as before, we get a +1, an 18, 19, pretty close to perfect. So there is a 3rd trap found, and she has her makeup kit which she is going to be able to use to mark off the area. A little bit of lipstick is never a bad thing to have as a dungeon delving tool. The postal worker. Well, he doesn't have anything too exciting to mark things with, so he'll borrow a piece of chalk from the science teacher, and he also has that good intelligence. But not good enough. They were not able to find a trap, so I'm going to go ahead and call here for a luck roll. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. So, sometimes, just to shake things up, we like to have luck rolls in XCrawl. A luck roll is basically the opposite of a usual roll, where we are trying to, on our 20-sided die, match or get lower than our luck. The reason why we do it this way is because XCrawl has a fascinating concept called burning luck. Our postal worker here has a luck of 13. A point of luck can be spent to give them a +1 on their next action roll. Putting an asterisk here because there are exceptions. You can never actually fix an existing roll. You can only prepare for an upcoming roll. Now that I've rolled my 6, I can't go back and say, oh, I'm going to go ahead and burn 4 points of luck. If I had done that, and then there needed to be this luck roll, their luck would be 9 instead of 13. So that's why we're trying for the equal to or lower. If our postal worker casts spells, and given the fact that they have an intelligence of 14, that may be in their future if they survive this night. All of their spell checks will be at +1, and their criticals and their fumbles will all be affected by 1 in a positive manner. That's not going to change. Burning luck is a permanent action. You can gain luck. In fact, certain things would be able to make this luck go from 13 to 14 to 15 and so on. But it's not a automatically refreshing pool that increases back to 13 at the beginning of each episode, adventure, crawl, whatever you want to call it. But the important thing is that +1 bonus, it's a forever and permanent thing. Which also is a shame for, the two of us who have this 11 luck and no bonus, because they can gain points of luck all they want to, and they're never going to turn that 0 into a 1. So, they have a 13 luck. We're just going to go ahead and see if they find a trap the other way. And they rolled a 13, just barely managing to catch themselves before they trigger a trap. So they have managed to find a 4th one in what we like to call the traditional fighter method of finding traps. The DJ comes on through the AVS system. Good job! You have found 4 traps. That is amazing, but you have to find 1 more. So, who feels lucky tonight? Actually, let's not worry about who feels lucky. Let's just go ahead and have Bartender! Why don't you go ahead and show us how it's done? So, the Bartender has an intelligence of 11 and has a luck of 12. So far, everyone who succeeded has gotten over 10. Everyone who hasn't succeeded has gotten under 10. It so happens that the difficulty is 10. So she's going to go ahead and use 2 points of her luck. So that means that we're going to go ahead and roll 1d20 plus 2, which was a damn fine idea on her part because she rolls a 9. But because she burned that luck, it's now a 11, which means she has found the last trap needed to get through the corridor. Lights go on from the AVS screens popping into existence so they can see the raucous applause from the crowds, and they make it through the hallway, and a referee moves them down to the south, where they reach a large room. It's 50 feet by 50 feet. And standing in this room, they're not scattered randomly, they are very intentionally placed, are skeletons. Half the skeletons are wearing suits, the other half is wearing dresses, and in the middle of the room, there is I'm going to say it's an old-fashioned phonograph, but the XWorld's technology is really behind the times, so this may be the highest quality record player you can get right now, with a large brass horn. Congratulations on making it through our first level test. Now let's reward you with an old-fashioned dance. And a referee carefully steps through the skeletons, winds up the phonograph, and puts down the stylus, at which point a dramatic waltz starts playing, and the skeletons begin whirling around to dance. I need to figure out a marching order. Didn't bother with it at the start, but it's going to be pretty important soon. So, do a circle here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. This is going to be facing that direction. I have the science teacher with a dagger. The college residence advisor has a dagger. The dairy farmer has a club. The caregiver has a sling. Let's go ahead and give her the back slot. Bartender has a club. Beautician has a sling, so she will also stay in the back line. Teacher with a club. And on our final page, we've got the postal worker. The postal worker also has a sling, as does the factory worker. So we'll go ahead and, yeah, this is the him. We'll go ahead and let him be right here. Spears. Spears are nice and easy to use from the back. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the men again, or men this time. So the dwarf miner is going to be right here. I should probably assume that the dwarf and the halfling, being a little smaller, probably don't have quite the reach of everyone else, but we're going to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt. I have no other spears, but I do actually have a couple of people who don't actually know the right side of the club to use. So let's go ahead and have our dairy farmer. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and move the gardener over here so the dairy farmer can be protected. There's another one who has no skill with a club. The dairy farmer is quite a meek little individual with 1 hit point. Whereas the teacher has a good and high stamina. So yeah, I don't feel bad about them being on the front line. Besides, I'm sure that everything will be fine. It's just a little dance. What can go wrong? And now I can start spreading out the rest of them. The science teacher has a dagger and a high strength, but also a high luck. Forged of Vulcan. Attack and damage for the chosen level 0 weapon is at +1. Yeah, this is they have a +2 on their attacks with their daggers. So good for them. The college, the advisor, you can go here. And here is our bartender sitting there with a +1 on her club attack. So previously, they entered the room filled with skeletons standing next to each other. The referee put on a record with a fast-paced, dramatic waltz. Go ahead and hum to yourself. I don't have one prepared. And the skeletons grab each other properly and begin whirling around in a waltz. I apologize. I'm going to say, be careful. They're dying to get you to join them. Absolute silence from the characters, absolute silence from everyone. There's apparently a cricket behind the one of the screens because it goes chirp, chirp, chirp. When I see all of you at the other door, you can head to the next room. This is one of the problems with solo. You don't want to use the fact that you kind of know the situation too well. So I'm going to go ahead and say there is a fairly obvious point in this room. We're going to give them 13 to 20 that they figure it out. They do not figure it out. That means that someone is going to have to try and be the first to get through. And that would be... Well, I'm going to say it's the science teacher because they're already kind of depressed. And obviously, one does not start telling Emperor Ronald to go fuck himself without having a certain level of death wish. So they are going to try and sneak through the skeletons. Now, keep in mind, this is a very fast waltz. You would want to have good reflexes, which is something that our science teacher... Let's go ahead and grab the dice screen. We'll toss down the dice, and they rolled a 5. A 5 is not good enough. They have accidentally stumbled into one of the skeletons, which leaves them needing to do a willpower test. Well, if you saw that, you're not going to be surprised that this is going to be even more difficult for them. That is a 12. Should have thought of doing some luck. Currently, the science teacher accidentally stumbled into a skeleton and is now stuck dancing with them. Our science teacher is currently having a good time with a skeleton. Draw a lovely Mr. Skeleton. Little skinny, not enough teeth, but he's got a nose, and he's got eye holes. If the science teacher wasn't a little more distracted, then he would be quite fascinated explaining the biology of the skeleton, but no one cares. So, with him out of the way, that means that there is a skeleton who now has no partner. And they are going to go either for the advisor or the miner. I'm going to say that's based on their current luck. The advisor has a luck of 10. The miner has a luck of 11. So the advisor it is. Okay, this is going to be a combat roll for Mr. Skeleton. Because of the agility of 12, there's no bonus. So we're just getting our basic armor jacket, so we have an armor class of 11. So it is going to roll to try and grab her. It is trying for an 11. It rolled a 10. It is not able to grapple her. We basically have two options standing here looking at the dancing skeletons. Number one, everyone can keep on trying to be sneaky, which isn't going to help the teacher, the science teacher, or they can just go ahead and fight. If we do it that way, then we are going to need to do... Okay, I would say that we need to do initiative checks, but frankly, the skeletons aren't going to fight back. They are just dancing. Big circles around the record player. We will go ahead and let our college advisor get in the first attack. Advisor, the skeleton who tried to grab them, is just kind of there. She goes ahead and she strikes out with her dagger. She has no bonuses from strength or training, obviously. So it's just trying to beat their armor class, which was a miss. They were not successful. Let's go ahead and swing over. I feel like... Oh, I'm still in draw mode. Okay, now I have a happy teacher. What did I decide that they taught? Foreign language. Yes, they were a foreign language teacher. Okay, so she is going to try and go after the advisor skeleton. And she has a penalty to her attack, not because of her strength, but because she has a luck of 8, and she has been armed by Vulcan, who has apparently armed her with crap. This is at -1. Also a 5, goes down to a 4, wouldn't have hit anyway. Okay, they are going to actually try and help their fellow teacher, probably work at the same school. I am past that. I have moved past that. We are to the bartender. The bartender is the one who is going to be... Well, now they're going to go ahead and try and help out the science teacher. She gets a +1 due to her strength. Unfortunately, another low roll. The miner has its spear. It's going to be going to the one that's closest to the advisor, obviously. A 13, a 14 with their bonus, which means that they are able to hit the skeleton. Unfortunately, the skeleton, being made of bones, is going to only take half damage, but that is 3 + 1. That's 2 points of damage, which is not quite enough. Well, this looks like a job for a dairy farmer. Except they only have a club, so... nah. They're gonna be a hero. Go on. You can do it, dairy farmer! They, in fact, can do it. So their damage is at -1, but minimum 1 point of damage. So that means that this skeleton, it did. Okay, 1 down, 39 to go. Someone is going to have to figure out a better way of handling this. We are at the factory worker. The factory worker has a sling, but they do not know how to use it. A sling is an agility-based weapon, and they have an agility of 6, so that's at -1. But the annoying thing for them is that because they have a high strength, they would hit really hard if they managed to hit. So that's comedy. What's your intelligence? Your intelligence is -1. You're not the one who's going to figure this out. So he's going to try and sling out the one who's trapped with one who has the science teacher trapped. So this is at -1. Tragedy has ensued, which is fun for us. Okay. Fumbles. A natural roll of 1 is a fumble. Fumbles automatically miss, and the attacker must roll on the fumble standard below. Okay, the fumble table they use is based on the kind of armor they're using. The factory worker is wearing an armored jacket, which is a reasonably light thing. Not light enough. That is a D6. So, 6-sided die, they rolled a 4. Do they have an adjustment for luck? They do not. So 4, your weapon is damaged, a bowstring breaks, a sword hilt falls off, or a crossbow firing mechanism jams. The weapon can be repaired, but is useless for now. So they have a problem. Well, the halfling gardener, when they come by, can go ahead and try their spear, which is just a straight up 20. And they roll a 13, which is a good hit. We have the same problem as last time, where that's going to be half damage. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, and of course, we always round down because... No, of course we don't round down. We round up. I never promised you anyone with a brain. The caregiver! The caregiver would be next. They also have a sling. They don't have a problem with their agility. They're also pretty smart. So let's go ahead and give her a luck test first. That was the wrong time to roll a 20, so good job there. Okay, so she has not figured out how she can finish this, so this is a normal attack roll with the sling, which, of course, that's where we get the low number. The beautician, as mentioned before, is quite smart, quite lucky, and that luck roll was successful. So she realizes that if they started with the music, they must stop with the music. And so she is going to try and use her sling to hit the record player. I'm going to say that this has a 50-50 chance of hitting, so she needs to do 11 or... no, 10 or better. Yeah, so just basically armor class unarmored. Because the skeletons keep whirring in and out of the way. An 11. So she manages to hit it. Let's just go ahead and make sure that it does some appreciable damage. A 2. With her +1, that is a 3. And the record player falls over. And the record falls out. The stylus is obviously off the record now. And the skeletons are all done. So with that, everyone walks to the door, and DJ Screaming Wyvern comes on the AVS. Well done! Just a nice little puzzle brought to you by the lovely artist at Rankin Records. To congratulate you on your cleverness and dancing skills, each of you will receive a 50 gold piece gift certificate for your local Apollo's Music. Yay! And with me only having half an hour and having done everything I really wanted to record, I think that's a good place to call it tonight. I wish you good night, and as always, be one of the good ones, because there's way too many of the bad, and I will see you next week. Good night!